You're not saving money in the meat aisle, you're paying for it twice. In the next minutes, we're exposing 7 brands that look cheap until you notice the tricks: added solution, fillers that aren't meat, and labels that hide more than they tell. Let's start with the first 3 offenders and the 3 hidden costs they slip into your cart. If you've ever wondered why that bargain shrinks, leaks, or tastes oddly salty, you're about to find out and see 2 brands that actually deliver what they promise. Quick favor before we move on. If you appreciate this content, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 92% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. It's free and only takes a second, but it means the world to us. So did you subscribe already? Great. Thank you so much for your support. Now back to the video. You grab that family pack because the math looks friendly. Big tray, low price, dinner solved. Then it weeps in the fridge, hisses in the pan, and somehow tastes like a salt lick. The reason isn't your stove. It's the tiny print. The phrasing is slick, and it turns a deal into a drain. Let's start with the promise. Budget meat flashes a bold price per pound.
Mass-produced meats are injected with salt water in order to preserve and or assist in the freezing process. 4 pounds worth of chicken. Am I alone in this? So this alone presents another problem with buying mass-produced meats from big box retailers. Are meats injected with water? That video now, allegedly, the first thought is that water is injected into the meats to add weight.
Heavy font, bright stickers, the whole stage show. It's designed to make you feel smart for saving. But the real kicker sits in 3 traps the label whispers instead of shouts: water weight, non-meat fillers, and vague words that blur what you're actually buying. You see the big number on the front. You miss the small ones on the side. Solution added, seasoned, contains up to X%. Those aren't garnish. They're the terms that rewrite the product without changing the picture on the box. You think you bought meat. You paid for a chemistry set. Hidden cost number 1, water weight. When a label says solution added, that means the plant pumped in salt water with flavor boosters. It makes the package heavier.
Whatever major chain is selling mass-produced packaged meats. In packaging, as a shopper, I'm not going to think that the packaging is included in that weight. You have to remember that these retail locations are not small-town butchers. They don't simply butcher in-house and then sell it direct to consumer all in the same day or week.
It does not add protein. On heat, that trapped liquid sprints out, so the cut shrinks, sputters, and steams instead of searing. You end up boiling a steak you meant to brown. Here's the part the print admits if you look. If a company adds a solution, the label has to list the percentage. You'll spot ranges, single digits up into the teens, tucked near the ingredient line. Higher numbers usually mean more brine.
These meats have to be mass-produced and packaged and then sent off to be put on a store shelf. 1 pound of packaging that I'm just going to throw in the trash. That's 25% of the weight. The act of putting salt water in the meats could help it. Just make sure that it remains at a safe temperature before it can make it to the store shelf.
More sodium per serving and less real chew. Compare the sodium on a plain cut to the enhanced version of the same cut. The season 1 often lands way higher per serving, and you didn't get more meat for it. Now the second trap, non-meat fillers. Cheap sausages, nuggets, patties, and deli slices often lean on starches, soy isolates, binders, and gums. These ingredients hold water.
Adding salt water to any kind of meat will also increase the weight of the meat. They inject their chicken with water, so there has to be something in the package to absorb all of that water. So obviously, if you're injecting water into meat, the meat is then going to weigh more. I mean, that's a safe speculation in my opinion.
Mimic bite and keep costs down. They also crowd out actual muscle. Here's the effect you feel. The texture goes bouncy or pasty, and the sizzle turns to a puddle. The protein number on the back panel tells the story. Ounce for ounce. You're paying more per gram of protein when the formula pads the weight with anything but meat. Look at the ingredient list. When it runs long, that's a hint. You'll see terms that sprawl across the line. plus mechanically separated inputs.
When you think you're paying for meat, you're actually paying for water. Let's just come to that conclusion right now, right? I don't know if you've ever bought meat or chicken and paid attention to the thing that's sitting on the foam tray. She just knew that she had bought pre-frozen chicken from Walmart, and as it thawed, she saw a bunch of needle marks.
Meat scraped from bones into a paste. That isn't a crime, but it isn't the same as a solid cut. The trick is simple. The front shows a juicy hero shot. The back explains why the pan tells a different story. Hidden cost number 3, vague or misleading labels. Natural flavors sounds calm. It can cover a lot of processing. Smoked flavor added means it may never have seen a smoker. Contains up to X% of is the quiet way to say more liquid lives inside. Seasoned
is actually portions with rib meat containing up to 15% of chicken broth, salt, and natural flavor. It was deceptive pricing. It was saying that there was 4 pounds of chicken in a package when there was actually only 3 pounds of chicken or 2 pounds of chicken.
Often flags extra moisture and salt that leave the meat spongy and the sauce over salty before you even season it. If the brand leans on these phrases, you're buying a story and a splash, not value. So what do you do with that? Decode 3 simple red flags. First, skip cuts injected with solution. If you want brine, do it at home, control the salt, and keep the protein. Second, treat long ingredient lists in processed meat as a warning.
And so people were paying a price per pound, yet they weren't getting the amount of chicken that they thought that they were actually getting for that price. In my opinion, it should also say injected with, because then people might not be so worried when they see needle marks in their thawed chicken.
If the list reads like a lab sheet, the protein per dollar is usually worse than it looks. Third, watch for contains up to X% and seasoned on raw meat. Those phrases often mean you're paying steak prices for water and salt. That's how you spot the first 3 offenders on the avoid list without naming names. The pattern screams louder than any logo. Cuts stuffed with added solution, processed items padded with starch and gums, and brands that sell hydration as value are the ones that drain your pan and your budget. Now let's move on to who actually earns a spot in your cart. 2 brands that tend to play it straight. Higher protein per serving, fewer add-ins, no puddles on day 2. Let's talk about the ones that stay honest when heat hits the pan. The truth is the cheapest pack gets costly when it is water, salt, and starch in a meat costume. Your wallet wins when you chase protein per dollar, not price per pound. Read the back panel like a receipt. Check for solution added. Scan for long, non-meat ingredient lists. Compare protein per serving on similar items. If this gave you something to chew on, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone. Next, we're cooking the worst offenders side by side. Same pan, same heat, no tricks. You'll watch the puddle form, see the pan loss, and understand why value sometimes evaporates before dinner.